Here's more wrestling news for February 23rd, 2026. Your headlines for this afternoon include Rhea Ripley shows brutal black eye after SmackDown win. Is WWE planning to pull Dominik Mysterio from AAA? Reports claim tension surrounding Lesnar and WWE producers behind the scenes. Major character shift planned for Lyra Valkyria. Blake Monroe explains choosing WWE over AEW. Indie wrestler Lars Luger's mother killed in Pleasanton shooting, suspect arrested. Why arbitration could change Vince McMahon's legal future in Janel Grant lawsuit, and more. During the February 20th episode of SmackDown, Rhea Ripley went toe-to-toe with Giulia in a stiff 9-minute battle that had the crowd locked in from start to finish. The match ultimately ended in Ripley's favor via disqualification, but by the time it was over, the physical toll was clearly visible. By the end of the night, Ripley was sporting a noticeable black eye. She didn't try to hide it. Shortly after SmackDown went off the air, Mommy posted to Instagram, showing off the swelling around her eye. Staying in character, she added a sarcastic caption wishing Giulia a happy birthday, who turned 32. WWE has not confirmed the exact moment the injury occurred, but many fans pointed to a particularly stiff exchange during the match. In one sequence, Giulia delivered a hard kick to Ripley's head, driving her skull into the mat. The impact immediately stood out during the live broadcast, and in hindsight, that moment appears even more significant. Despite the visible bruise, Ripley finished the match strong and remained involved in the closing angle later in the show. For now, it seems to be nothing more than a battle scar from a hard-hitting encounter. If anything, the mark serves as proof of just how intense that matchup truly was, and why a future rematch could be even bigger. Things escalated quickly in AAA surrounding Dominik Mysterio's upcoming AAA Mega Championship defense. Dominik, who is currently holding both the WWE Intercontinental Championship and the AAA Mega title, officially signed the contract to defend his Mega Championship against the former champion El Hijo del Vikingo at Reyes. But this was far from a routine contract signing. Vikingo dramatically raised the stakes by adding a major stipulation. If he wins, Dominik must leave Mexico and AAA permanently. The bout was also upgraded to a new disqualification match, guaranteeing chaos from the start. And chaos came quickly. Vikingo, backed by El Ojo allies Dorian Roldan and Omos, confronted Mysterio in the ring, immediately creating a numbers disadvantage. Ludwig Kaiser's version of El Grande Americano rushed in to even the odds, but his attempted chair shot barely affected Omos. Then the situation spiraled further. The original El Grande Americano entered and came face-to-face with the imposter, turning the ring into complete madness. Multiple factions collided, and the contract signing dissolved into a full-blown brawl. In the middle of the chaos, Dominik made a calculated decision. Rather than fight alongside Kaiser's version of El Grande Americano, who has been backing him up, Dominik stepped back, stayed out of the fray, and ultimately walked away, leaving his ally behind. With a no disqualification stipulation now in place, and Dominik's future in Mexico potentially on the line, Reyes just became one of the most unpredictable title defenses of his career. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. Matt Riddle isn't holding back when it comes to Brock Lesnar, and this time his boldest claim isn't about what happened in the ring, but what he says was happening behind the scenes. Appearing on the Rewind, Recap, and Relive podcast, Matt Riddle revisited the 2022 Royal Rumble and focused on what he describes as a long-standing issue backstage, fear of Lesnar. Riddle explained that during the final production meeting for the Royal Rumble, when the last group of entrants were laying out the finish, Lesnar entered the room visibly heated following his earlier match with Bobby Lashley, where both men experienced awkward landings during German suplex exchanges. According to Riddle, Lesnar addressed the group bluntly. "So we're at the end of the Royal Rumble. It's like the last 5 or 6 of us. We're calling spots, and Brock comes in there and goes, 'I just did business. That's how it's done. You guys are gonna do business for me.'" For Riddle, the bigger issue wasn't the directive itself, it was the reaction in the room. "Every producer fears Brock Lesnar. It's kinda, I respect everybody, I love everybody, but I hate seeing people get scared. You shouldn't be. If this guy attacks you, have him arrested. That's against the rules. We're a society. You can't just act like a Neanderthal." While acknowledging Lesnar's size and intimidation factor, Riddle insisted he personally wasn't afraid. "Granted, he's intimidating. He grabbed me by my neck before, but I wasn't intimidated. He grabbed me quite gently, actually. He does know how to work." Riddle further claimed that Lesnar wasn't interested in rehearsing or collaboratively structuring the match's ending. Instead, he says Lesnar dictated how it would unfold. He didn't want to talk or put anything together. He just said, do business for me. So it was like, okay, Randy, I'll clothesline you. Everybody else, I'll belly to belly you over the top or F5 you out. We were all getting thrown out by Brock. Lesnar would go on to win the 2022 Royal Rumble and headline WrestleMania, but Riddle's account paints a picture of a locker room dynamic where Lesnar's influence extends beyond storyline dominance. Riddle has built a reputation of speaking candidly about WWE politics, and this may be one of his most direct criticisms yet, not just of Lesnar, but of the power structure that surrounds him. Lyra Valkyria could be heading toward a noticeable character shift after weeks of frustration on television. Following months of teaming with Bayley without gaining any real momentum and repeatedly lobbying Adam Pearce for a women's tag team title opportunity against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, Valkyria's direction may finally be changing. According to Bodyslam.net, WWE has internally discussed adjusting Valkyria's on-screen persona. The reported idea is to lean into a more aggressive presentation, mirroring the frustration that both she and Bayley have displayed after repeatedly being overlooked. The timing lines up. Valkyria and Bayley both failed to qualify for this year's Women's Elimination Chamber match, adding another setback to a growing list. Despite consistently demanding opportunities, they've yet to break through in the tag team landscape. If this change moves forward, Valkyria's disappointment could evolve into a sharper edge, potentially transforming her role on the roster. Whether that results in a more ruthless alliance with Bayley or signals something more drastic remains unclear. Either way, the current version of Lyra Valkyria may not be the one fans see much longer. California independent wrestler Evan Simmons, 28, known on the indie scene as Lars Luger, was shot and killed inside a Pleasanton, California home this week. His 67-year-old mother, Lori Simmons, was also found dead at the scene. According to ABC 7 News, officers responded just after 10 a.m. Wednesday to a residence on the 3100 block of Joanne Circle, where they discovered both victims suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. By Friday, authorities announced that a 31-year-old San Jose man had been arrested on suspicion of 2 counts of murder. Investigators stated that multiple firearms were recovered from the suspect's vehicle and residence. Police also determined that the suspect had a recent dating relationship with a family member of the victims. The motive behind the shooting remains under investigation. Pleasanton Police Chief Tracy Avalar addressed the arrest in an official statement. The outcome is the result of our detectives working non-stop on this case. We appreciate the patience of our community as we work through a rapidly evolving investigation, and I'm proud of the work done to keep the community safe. Authorities have not released the suspect's name, as he has not yet been arraigned. A GoFundMe campaign has been launched to assist Simmons' sister as she copes with the loss of both her brother and mother. This remains an active investigation, and further updates are expected as the legal process moves forward. Blake Monroe is finally opening up about why she made the jump to WWE instead of staying put in AEW. Speaking on Not Sam Wrestling, Monroe addressed the perception that she arrived in WWE with an established resume and Match of the Year reputation, but rather than leaning into that status, she made it clear she wasn't satisfied. Well, I mean, all jokes aside, I wouldn't call myself a Match of the Year wrestler. I appreciate when people say that, but for me, I'm always like, what can I do better? That mindset played directly into why she chose WWE, specifically NXT, instead of remaining in AEW. And one of the big reasons I wanted to come to WWE was just because the women's division is so deep. I just listed out how many different things you can do, and they really put an emphasis on their women. So that was like a really attractive point for me. Monroe didn't frame it as running from anything. Instead, she described being drawn to the scale of WWE's women's division, multiple titles, major events, and a clear platform to evolve. She also admitted she wanted more structured development. As she approaches her first full year in WWE, already with a 52-day reign as NXT Women's North American Champion, Monroe's reasoning feels calculated. She saw a deeper division, more opportunities, and a system built to refine talent. The legal battle involving Janel, Grant, Vince McMahon, and WWE has entered into a new phase, with the focus now shifting toward a potential June 2026 arbitration hearing. As that possibility gains traction, questions are growing about how arbitration could impact both the legal result and the public fallout. Speaking on 83 Weeks, Eric Bischoff addressed the belief that the case may never reach a jury trial. Looking at it purely from a strategic standpoint, Bischoff explained why arbitration could favor McMahon, particularly because it removes a jury from the equation and limits public exposure. Arbitration means no jury. You don't have 12 people sitting there that are being influenced by emotion, by headlines, by things they've read, by how they feel about the story. You've got a judge. It's procedural. It's different. And if I'm looking at it from a strategic point of view, I would think that I'm going to be better off with a judge than I am with a jury. If this goes to arbitration, nobody really knows what happened. It doesn't play out in the court of public opinion the same way, it becomes a lot more contained. Because arbitration proceedings are typically private, the discussion then shifted to what that could mean for McMahon's long-term presence in WWE. Bischoff did not completely rule out a ceremonial return, but he dismissed the idea of McMahon reclaiming operational control, especially under TKO Group holdings. If this thing goes to arbitration and nobody ever really knows what happened, do I see him in the Hall of Fame? Maybe. I wouldn't rule that out. Running day to day? Nah, I'm not buying into that for a second. If this would have happened 20 years ago, absolutely. Vince would have fought his way back in, and he probably would have pulled it off. But the business has changed so much. The corporate structure is different. The ownership is different. Your institutional investors would just run from that. You're talking about Wall Street. You're talking about publicly traded company dynamics. That's not the same environment Vince built WWE in. For now, the key development remains arbitration and what it could mean, not just inside a legal setting, but for McMahon's public future. If this case moves behind closed doors, the outcome may carry very different long-term implications than a full courtroom trial. For all of our subscribers, don't miss the 9 a.m. Eastern video we dropped earlier today. Smash that bell icon and select all notifications so you're always in the loop.